love Google Slides. Like, I love Google Slides. Actually, I love Google Sheets. If anyone knows me, no one loves a spreadsheet more than I do. And so I was really surprised. I wrote this book on teaching math, and I thought, oh, I'm going to have all these spreadsheets in there. And I have some, but my co-author and I really discovered that the magic sauce to teaching is Google Slides, because Google Slides is multimedia. It's collaborative. You have this open space. It just feels like when you're in a spreadsheet, in a Google Slides, that you should be creative. And so when you're trying to do the 4 C's, you can almost instantly hit all the 4 C's just by using Google Slides. Now, the collaborate, I mean, not for free. The 4 C's don't come for free. It's not collaborate unless you share it. So what I would like you to do is every single time you would use a Google Meet or a Zoom or any of these things, if you're going to do a video meeting with your students, I want you to create a Google Slides every time. Even if you don't use it, you're going to start using it because you made one. If you're going to do a video meeting, you should have a Google Slides. And then you need to share that Google Slides with the students. Now, in Google Classroom, dang it. I'm trying to stand since I've been sitting all morning. And I have to type weird. It's coming. Wants to. Just thinking about it. Just go to this class. So what I'm going to do, at a bare minimum, I'm going to create an assignment. And I do create, and I create slides for my meeting. So this is one option. And just creates these blank slides. I don't have to build anything in them. The reason why I have a Google Slides for every one of my video meetings is because I want us to collaborate. I want to give you a chance when I ask a question that you would have everybody has a voice. You can all put something down. So what I have to do is in the Google Classroom, I have to switch it from students can view to students can edit. You got to do that middle option. I like to say it's like a hamburger. The good stuff's in the middle. Anybody else trying to cut down on calories? I do. And so I go get a sandwich. I'll take off at least the top bun, at least, if not both buns, right? I'm like, I'll just take the stuff in the middle. The stuff in the middle is the good stuff. And so that is what it is like in Google Classroom, right? Students can view. That's not collaborating. It's them looking at stuff. It's very empowering to be actively involved. So students can edit, it says collaborate. And the bottom one says, make a giant pile of paperwork for yourself. Like, what? I try to avoid that. I'm like, why don't we just do this together? That would be amazing. So all I have to do is I create a new assignment in Google Classroom, and I number everything, if you know me. And this would be our Google Meet meeting, or maybe it's Zoom or whatever it is you're using. But I'm just going to create a slides. I'm going to say students can edit. And then you would assign. I'm going to save as a draft. The other option is to create an assignment. And instead of creating slides, you add slides you already have. So if you're going to add slides you already have, you go to Google Drive. I'll do this one. And I insert it. And it defaults to view. So you're going to do two things. You're going to switch it to the middle option. Students can edit. I know this is going to sound insane, but what I want you to do is all of your Google Slides, make them editable. You're like, Alice, I know you did not just say that. I'm like, no, I'm serious. Can I merge the two slides? What do you mean? Which two slides? Cynthia, I wrote a book with Christine Pinto. Christine Pinto teaches 4-year-olds. Or she did. She now teaches kindergarten. But she did teach pre-K. And they can be on the same Google Slides. In fact, let me show you. This is one of my favorite Christine Pinto activities. AliceKeeler.com/10frame. This is not slides. This is copy the document. So in this spreadsheet that Christine made, she made it for 4-year-olds, for pre-K, you guys, for pre-K. It is Google Apps for Littles. You can find all of my books at alicekeeler.com/books or on Amazon. And so Google Apps for Littles is one of them. And the kids would just type in single-digit numbers. And it is paint by number. It's pixel art. And so they would fill in their 10 frame. And then the students, the 4-year-olds, have to write an equation. 4 + 6 = 10. And then check their work. So they have to go equals 4 + 6. So now, if 4-year-olds can do this, they can definitely be on the same Google Slides. They can be on the same Google Slides. So what I want you to do is when you're going to use Google Slides, add edit access. And so the first thing you do is you switch it from view as the default, switch it from view to edit. And then you're going to click on the title. Before, you notice it's still in draft, right? Still in draft. So before I share it with students, I go File, Version History, and I name the current version template. File, I'm going to do it again. Cancel. File menu, Version History, name the current version. Now it's going to save the versions anyway, but because it saves so many versions, it's hard to find the one version that's like, okay, this is what it looked like right before I gave it to the students. All right. This is what it looked like right before I gave it to the students. So I named the current version template so that if there's any shenanigans, I can just put it back. But even if there's not shenanigans, I hate copies. Like, I do not make copies. I don't want a copy. I want to use the same thing year after year after year. I just want to edit it. I don't want multiple files in my Google Drive with the same name. I do not want that. So by using the version history, I can avoid making copies. I just name it 2019. And then this year when I use it, I use the version history and name it 2020. And I'm like, this is what it's going to look like this year. And if you want the old one, I do it in the version history, not looking at a mess in my Google Drive. All right. So Sharon, there are several people who use Canvas. My friend Marcia is doing some webinars and getting some content for me. So for part of my premium membership, I do have what's called a drip workshop where it comes via email that helps you get going with Canvas. So in Canvas, I'm not a Canvas user, but you can definitely still do this in Canvas. Now, if you don't have Google Classroom, what you do is you click on the share button. I'm going to change this so that it goes back to the way it was. You know, it's by default, it's restricted, right? By default. So then this middle one, even though it says Alice Keeler, that's the name of my school. You see it has a picture of a building. I usually don't do that. I mean, if you're using it just with students and they're all logged in, you certainly could. But I'm going to go down here to anyone with the link, and I'm going to change it from viewer to editor. Yeah, I just have them add a slide. And I do too. I have all my students in one Google Classroom. So one of the things I do, like if I have 6 periods of Algebra 1, and I put all 6 periods of my Algebra 1 into one Google Classroom class. And so when I need them to collaborate, I do 2 things. I either just at the end of each class period, go to the version history and put it back to the template. So at the end of period 1, I go File, Version History, name it period 1. And then I go back to the template. And then at the end of second period, I go File, Version History, and I name it period 2. And then I go back to the template. So on and so forth. I mean, most of the time when we do these collaborative things, we're not really coming back to them. It's kind of like in the moment. So why not just keep using the same one over and over again? But even if I did like tomorrow, I'm like, hey, first period. Let's go back and look at what you said yesterday. Why just go to the version history and I pull it back up? I go to it's named first period, so I can do that. But what you want to do is make it anyone with a link can edit. So you now all have edit access to my slides. Let me give you the link to my slides. The sides, but it means slides. Now that link I just pasted to you, it's going to take you to slide 11. It's going to take you to slide 11. You actually want to add a, go to this one. So if you will join and you're going to add a slide, add a yellow slide, and you're going to tell me what would you not use Google Slides for? And just to warn you, I'm going to tell you how you can use Google Slides for it. So we're having a challenge here. Stump me. What do you think you cannot use Google Slides for? Now, what I do when I'm doing collaborative slides, if students use the wrong layout, if I've pre-created the layouts, I just change it. I don't even say anything. It was an accident. Right, so you're adding a slide. This just never gets old, never ever gets old. So see, someone added a purple slide, it's fine. I'm just gonna go and change it to a yellow slide. Make sure you're typing on a yellow slide. Your own yellow slide. So see, and I'm gonna get into that in a second. She wants to know how I changed the slide layout, so I'm definitely gonna show you that. So when I'm on any slide, I can choose the layouts. You'll notice I have custom layouts, so I'll show you that. I don't need custom layouts. I mean, just blank slides is great. They can just, I have them put their name in the speaker notes. All right, so what do you think you would not use Google Slides for? Refresh, Sienna. It was view only at first, and then I changed it to anyone can edit. Now remember, I had these slides, I had my notes in there, and maybe one of you will accidentally delete my notes. Please don't. But it doesn't matter, because at the end of this presentation, I'm going to go to the version history. I'm going to see version history. And you see where it says template with notes? I'm going to restore it. I'm just going to put it right back. You can't mess me up. Here we go. All right. What I love about this is I can see students are working. I like to go to grid view. It's right down here in the bottom left. And I'll minus out so I can see like everybody's. And it just feels so cool. It just feels so cool to see, like I see them working. You guys aren't done. So it helps me with wait time. I am the worst with wait time. I ask a question, how long should I give you to answer? Look how long it's taking you. Longer than I want to give you. You're taking longer than I want to give you. And that's exactly why I use Google Slides. Every student has their own slide, and I choose not to assign them. I know some people do that. Have less control, my friends, have less control. When I first got a grade cam scanner, my gosh, this is 20 years ago, they gave me some solid advice. They said, never, ever bubble the kids' ID numbers, because if you do it for them, then you're always doing it for them. And I just have taken that as sage advice for my whole life, is I don't do things for kids, even if it's easier. I'm trying to train them, to teach them, trying to teach them to be independent learners, that they can go out here and they can interact with people, that they can collaborate and they can do things themselves. If I restrict things down, I'm like, well, I don't want anyone to make a mistake. But making mistakes is how we learn. And or making mistakes is how I get to teach them. If I don't let them, then I can't teach them how to do it. They do They do know, they can do it. They can, even kindergartners. So Roxanne, of course, Google Slides existed before Jamboard. She says, could this replace Jamboard? Jamboard, you can only have 20 slides, and they call them frames, but it feels like slides. You can only have 20 in a Jamboard. And Jamboard is you can do the Post-it notes for the text boxes, but you can't do a text box, which seems quite odd. I'm hoping they'll fix that. Other than the drawing, I would not use Jamboard unless I needed them to sketch something. I wouldn't use Jamboard. I would use Slides. But that's me. I like Jamboard. Roxanne, I am a math teacher, and a phrase that I wish would just never be used ever again is show your work. Like I just want that phrase to die. I don't want to show your work. I want to show your thinking. I want to have you visualize. Math is creative and visual, and just get away from this idea that we're replacing photo math. So I did not make a yellow slide for everyone, Jem. What I did do, though, is I edited the layouts, and I will definitely show you how I did that. And so I try to make the student layout always first, and then I'll make a layout so I can, not easily, Susan. So that's what we're saying it's Jamboard is if you want them to draw. So I make a layout for me to ask questions. I make some templates in the layouts, but I don't always. A lot of times, most of the time, I just use blank Google Slides. I just use blank Google Slides, and I ask them to do their work on a Google slide. So let me give you an example for math where I do this not during a Zoom meeting, not during a Google Meet. I don't actually want to look at their homework, which, by the way, I wrote a book called Ditch That Homework. So when I say homework, that's not what I really mean. I don't want to look at their work. Like, do you need help? If you don't, then I don't really, like, why am I spending my time going through and checking your compliance? So what I want to do is I want to know, do you want help? So I have my students do their work on quarter sheets of paper. Quarter sheets of paper are the perfect size to hold up to the webcam and insert into Google Slides. I go insert image from camera, insert image from camera. Although I would hold up a piece of paper, I just don't have any near me. I normally would, but you know, being in Kansas. And I have them add a picture of the one problem they want feedback on. So instead of having them turn in all the work, I ask them to turn in the one problem that they want feedback on, and we all do that in the same Google Slides. So instead of me checking their work, we go, and I don't do this by myself, together, we look over the math problems together, and I get the kids to make comments because the person doing the work is the person doing the learning. So why would I go home and look at kids' work by myself? Why don't we look at it together, have conversations together, and then my whole life is better. I don't spend my whole life doing paperwork. I spend my life interacting and talking with kids, and you know that's better for learning. You know it's better for learning. I'm just going to leave that there. All right, and then when I am in a Google Meet, or if I'm in a face-to-face class, and I ask students to add a slide, I click present, and now I'm using student voice. I'm using their ideas. How many students get to answer? All of them. Usually, I ask a question and the same one or two loudmouths answer. Doing it this way, I hear from everybody. All right, so we're still learning. Of course, there's more, absolutely. All right, for collaborative storytelling, that sounds awesome. So, but now what we're going to do is we're going to do students can edit, and we're going to be brave and have everybody on the same slides. And we're going to, you know, the key to loving that, the key to loving everyone on the same slides is file, version history, name the current version. And even while we're doing the activity together, I'm going to name the current version. Can't do with slides. I'm just going to every so often, at a key moment, name the version. so that I don't have to go all the way back to the beginning if some shenanigans happen. I just keep naming the versions. Don't use Google Slides for a read aloud. Why not? What's a read aloud, Kelly? You're going to have to type it in the chat. Thanks, Sienna. So I don't know what a read aloud is, but I bet you could do a read aloud in Slides. I'm sure of it. You tell me, I'm a math teacher, so you have to help me out why you can't do it in the read aloud, but it feels like you could. Valerie, I'm so glad that you challenged me on this one. Slides is the perfect communication tool for parents in remote learning. Lisa, if you have students who are being rude, that is excellent. You should give a fist pump because today you get to help those kids learn how to be more polite online. If you don't let them be rude ever, you're like, I'm shutting this down. You have no opportunity to say rude things. Then they don't know how to behave online. You've just not let them be online. So I delete it. That's the first thing I do. And then we have a conversation. Now, if I'm remote, I'm calling them. If I'm face-to-face, I'm pulling them aside. Valerie, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to do a slides.new. The problem with Google Classroom is it's for students. It's not for parents. And I'm cool with that. So what I want to do, I'm going to make a slides for parents. And every day, I'm going to say, okay, here is Monday, 8:10. Things we are doing today, blah, blah, blah. You know what's awesome about slides? What's awesome about slides is I can insert video. I insert video, and I'll do it from Google Drive because I like to use Screencastify and all my Screencastify videos. Well, look at that. That's got to be the best screen grab of all time. I can insert videos into my Google Slides. So if I wanted to communicate with parents with a video, I can do that. This is the agenda for today, but my audience is parents. And if I copy this link at the top, it will open this slide. Now tomorrow, I'm going to add another one. Well, the next day, right? So Tuesday, 8/11. Parents, here is the stuff you need to know. Now, here's the deal. I'm not doing it this way. I'm going to drag it to the top. You want always, the older it is, the farther away from your face it is. This is why in Google Classroom, we put the current unit at the top and the previous units at the bottom. Although anyone who knows me, I encourage you to make a new classroom per unit. But regardless, the older it is, the farther away from your face it should be. You shouldn't scroll past old stuff to find out what you're supposed to do. So we're going to build these in reverse. So every day, I'm going to add a slide. This one's Wednesday, 8/12. And I always put either a short video or at least a Bitmoji, something. You know. I'm going to drag this up. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the File menu. I'm going to use the File menu, and I'm going to publish to the web. I don't want it to loop. I do not want it to auto advance, so I'm just going to click Publish. I'm going to copy this link. The file published to the web link is the key. Now, even if you use Remind and you text message them, parents, you could put this link in there, can't you? I can go to Bitly. I like to use tinyurl. tinyurl.com. I'm going to put that big old publish to the web link. Big old publish to the web link. And I'm going to call this Keeler 2020. And then I'm just going to throw an August 9th on there just to make it unique. Right? So I go to tinyurl. Let me add this to a slide so you can see it.
So, Alice, you would put this.
I go to tinyurl.com and I make it shorter. So I might do parent slides. Instead of, what's the file published? Go file publish to the web. If I click publish, look at this link. Holy cow. No problem. It's free. Go to tinyurl.com. I go to tinyurl.com. I paste that big, long, ugly publish to the web link. And then down here, I give it a short word. So I'm like, parent slides, Keeler. Put the school year in there. Trust me on that one.
So you would put.
And then I'm just gonna I don't want to burn it, so I'm just gonna make it.
I guess you can't hear.
Make mine a little funny.
She can't hear you.
That's right. I forgot. Sorry.
No worries.
So then I just tell parents, I can text that to them. I can email that to them. I can leave it on a phone call. Hey, I just wanted you to know that I have a site for parents, except your website is Google Slides. I have a site for parents. And so you just go to tinyurl.com/parent-slides-Keeler2020. Yeah, sorry, I can't, if I have the headphones on, I'm going to figure this out later. I probably just need to restart my computer. I just can't do it in the middle of this. So if you would type your questions, I'm watching the chat. I'm watching the chat. So Sienna, publish to the web versus share, fine, either way. If you're going to just share it, you're going to go to share. You're going to change the link. Now, if it has the building says people at your school. The building says people at your school. All right, so we're going to try it. Can you hear me? Is it good or bad? It's good. Okay. No, Kelly says it's bad. All right, we're going back. It's just because we have so many people. I can get away with it without the headphones. tinyurl is not private or password protected, but I don't need this to be either of those things. It's just some Google Slides where I'm telling parents what we're doing. So I literally don't want it private and password protected. I want parents to look at it. You can 100% Mimi put these slides in your Google site for sure. So if you're not going to do publish to the web, go anyone with the link is viewer. I'm not giving parents edit access, even though I gave you this whole spiel about how awesome it was. I'm not going to. So they can view it. And you right here, you want to copy link. And that's really important that you copy the link here. Because if you copy this link up here, if you copy that link, that's the link to that slide. Notice if I copy the link to this slide, it's going to take you it's going to take you to slide 1, but I'm going to move it. And that link will now open to slide 3. And if I move it, that link will open to slide 4. It opens to the slide, not the slide position. Do you see the difference? If you look at the very end, it says slide ID and all this funky stuff. Look at the very end, it's got the slide ID. It is linking to the slide ID, not first slide or third slide. So if you're going to use this, make sure you go to the share button. If you want to share this with parents, share button. Why is it not letting me click share? I broke Google Slides. Try it on this one. I go to the share button and you want to copy the link. So that's the link to the slides rather than a link to a slide. Usually it doesn't matter. Usually it doesn't matter. So I would, not only am I going to prove you wrong, my friend, which is what I promised, right, Valerie? Promised that I was going to, whatever you said, I was going to prove you wrong. Not only do I disagree that you cannot use Google Slides for parent communication, I think you 100% should use Google Slides for parent communication. Here's why. Slides works offline. Now, the file published to the web version does not work offline, but if you share the view version, the slides version, it could. There's no login. It's easy to access Google Slides. They just get the link and they go there. It's real nice because they can see all of them. See, if you just go backwards, there's Tuesday, and I go backwards, there's Monday. Google Slides is multimedia. Oh, you already know how to use Google Slides. So what happened is your hair's been set on fire and you've been pushed off the edge of a cliff, right? How many new things you want to learn? How about we just keep it simple? I can easily communicate with parents with Google Slides, and it's always the same link the whole year. The whole year, always the same link. Let's keep it simple. I get one slide, tell the parents what I want them to know today. I can text it to them, I can email it to them, and if I make a short URL, I can leave it on a voicemail. Heck, if you wanted to, all right, think about this one. All right. What if I did feedback for Caleb? So let's say you have a student in your class, their name is Caleb. I'm going to use this exact same slides all year long. I'm going to use this exact same slides all year long. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to click share, and I'm going to type in Caleb's email, and I'm going to type in Caleb's guardian's email. So these slides, I'm going to make a folder in my Google Drive, student communication. And then whenever I want to give feedback, I'm going to put it on these slides. I probably might also put it in an email or also do whatever it is that I do. I'm looking at Caleb's work. I take a screenshot and I put it on here because I want mom to see that. And so I'm going to share it with Caleb. I'm going to share it with Caleb's mom. And then I'm going to turned in blank work on 8/15. And then let me take a screenshot. Yes, Mimi, you could make a slides for each student. I'm brainstorming some ideas here. All right. I took a screenshot of Caleb's work. That's what it looks like. It's blank. And I can, just to have one place to have a record, and that doesn't have to be he turned in blank work. Like Caleb did awesome work. It's basically a quick and dirty portfolio of communication for one student to the parents. And that's the beauty of it, Cynthia. I can insert a video. Hold up. I'm going to change my screen sharing. Does the parent have to have no, that's okay. So Suzanne, no. So if you don't have parent email, they don't have, they can't access it with the login. It's no problem. Just share it, change it to, not the school. Anyone with the link can view. Now, that means anyone with the link can view. So I'm going to give that to the parent. I'm going to give it to Caleb. I could text it, but I just want to make sure I don't give it to anybody else. Then I got to be more careful. But I can put in screenshots. I can add a video. Am I screen sharing? No, I'm not. I want your entire screen. I want to show you what I'm going to do. I'm going to use the Screencastify Chrome extension. Screencastify Chrome extension. I'm going to turn on either my webcam or my desktop, because if I'm looking at Caleb's work, I'd like to screen share his work. I'm going to do webcam. Caleb, I am super proud of you. Caleb, this looked amazing. So Caleb's mom, Caleb did really good work today. I'm super proud of him. Click stop. I can make a video message. And that could have been, Caleb was having some shenanigans today. But what I love about Screencastify is you see this, it says saves to Google Drive. Now it does take a couple minutes for it to process. So I'm going to grab a different video. I just go insert video from Google Drive. And that feedback that I gave that I want to give to either Caleb or his mom. See, it's right here. It's not done yet. So I'll do this one. We'll pretend that's the one. Come on. So that's why I love Google Slides, is because Google Slides is multimedia. I can easily add screenshots. I can easily add video. I can easily add a Bitmoji. I can copy and paste from student work. And I could use this as a record of a way, I could use this as my phone call log. Right? I got to keep a log of every time I talk to a parent. Well, why not just maybe have a folder with a Google Slides per student, and when you make a phone call, you make a record of it on a slide. And then I can put other feedback and things in there, and then the parent can see all of the communication in one place. So not only do I strongly disagree that slides are not for communication, it is like one of the best tools for parent communication. Okay. If I have two presentations, can I merge them together? Yeah, sure. Option one, I come over here into this presentation, and I click on the film strip on the left side, and I do Control-A, select all. Control-A, select all, and then I Control-C, copy. And then in the second slides, I just Control-V, paste. And ask, do I want a link? In this case, I do not. Sometimes I do. There you go. I just merged these two together. The other thing you can do is you can do File, Import Slides. So you can take another presentation and bring them into this one. But they copy and paste real easy. All right. I would not use slides to see, Paula. I just answered that one. That's good. It's because you can use it for everything. I know, Mimi, you can just use it for like everything. That's all I'm trying to tell you. Sure, you could use it for a quiz. You could. Now, here's my rule. I'm going to stop screen sharing because I'm going to ring it for a second. I'm going to stop presenting. For a quiz, right? If it is low critical thinking, I am going to demand you stop grading that stuff. It is 2020. How come your teachers graded everything by hand? Because quizzes and Google Forms did not exist. Not because they liked it so much, not because there's any research study that says if you do this, the kids learn more. In fact, I will show you research to show the opposite. If it is low critical thinking, I demand you use something that self-grades. I demand that. Your time is too valuable to do this. And when you use a digital tool, not only do you save your time, but it gives you data immediately. Like a lot of kids didn't do good on number 7. Maybe you should reteach that. And you need that data. But here's my thing. I do not mix free response with multiple choice. I don't mix teacher grades it with computer grades it. Does that make sense? It's either all computer graded or it's all teacher graded. So if I have, a Google Forms, maybe, because I prefer quizzes, but whatever. If I have some sort of a digital quiz, and there's 2 free response questions. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to have part A and part B. Because on the low critical thinking, research shows if it's low critical thinking, this is not true for critical thinking, not true, only the DOK1, DOK2 stuff. It is better to get immediate feedback. You're going to grade that and give it to them tomorrow. They will not care. They will not care. What'd you do, buddies? Okay. My son's a big whiner. We're trying to learn to have him toughen up. He spilled something. You're going to be okay, man. We got him a bike this week. And since, yeah, you know, in Kansas, you can have a bike and won't get stolen because we're in a small town. I'm just like, now you're not going to have, you didn't have a bike at the other house. So he's got training wheels and he's 8. And I'm like, you're just going to have to skin your knees. You get the training wheels for one day. Now get out of my house. That's the kind, loving math teacher in me. So anyway, he's okay. He's okay. What was I ranting about? My son fell and hurt himself, and then I got distracted. Someone remind me. Chrome Web, self-grading the low critical thinking. Right, thank you. Right? So I want them to immediately get their score. In fact, I don't like Google Forms because they answer the questions, all of them, and then they get the score at the end. I prefer it question by question because the longer the distance between finishing something and getting feedback, the less you care. And honestly, that gap is 5 seconds. When you've gone on to the next question, you stop caring about the first one. So when they answer it and it's like, no, you didn't do it right. You're like, what? How come I got this wrong? And the kids will actually ask me, Keeler, how come I got this wrong? Whereas if instead I grade it and I hand it back to them the next day, no kids ask me questions. They stopped caring. So I demand if it can be self-graded, it should be. In fact, I'm going to kick that up a notch. I would like you to make a few more things self-graded because you only have so many hours in your day. And that immediate feedback on low critical thinking, if it's low critical thinking, design it in a way that something else grades it, not you. And then my part B is I'll have them do it on Google Slides. So the free response they do on Google Slides. You know why? Let me show you this. Set now, my window, this one. So let's pretend this is the slide where the student answered. What I'm going to do is I'm going to add a layout with a different color. This is my feedback slide. Can you tell where my feedback slide is? You can because it's a different color. So let's build this. I will be done in 15 minutes. Do you need me right now? No, okay. I bet. People always ask me, Alice, how do you do it with 5 kids? And the trick is to care less. I'm making jokes, my friends. I'm making jokes. All right. Anyone who's a mom knows the cry that says that we have to go to the hospital. Ain't it? Benign neglect. Okay. So I can add these feedback slides. So what I want to show you is how to make this. So I'm going to go to slides.new and I'm going to call this part B quiz. Okay, part B quiz. Now this is being recorded. So I'm going to do it at a normal speed here. I'm not going to ask you to do it with me just because we have so many people. But in my part B quiz, I'm going to delete this slide. I'm going to delete this. I want no slides so far. Okay, I'm going to delete the slide. And then I'm going to use the view menu and go to master. View menu and you go to master. And then we delete. Don't ask him. The other one's asking him what happened, and now he's crying again. He dropped his food. He'll get over it. Okay. All right. I delete all the layouts. I just hit the delete button. Then up in the toolbar, we're going to click the plus icon. I'm going to add a new layout. Now you want to think about how you want to design this. So I'm going to make this one. I'm going to move this. I'm going to add a text box. Do you see up here in the toolbar, I have a text box. Text box is locked down. Text box is locked down. Placeholder is the place where the student answers. So I'm going to do text box. Question number 1, explain the water cycle, or whatever your question is. And then they have to have an answer box, which you can either add a placeholder or you can use the placeholder that's already there, right? Text box is locked down. Placeholder is the place where students answer. And you might want to do something crazy, like I'll take a box like this. And I don't know if you know this, but all shapes are text boxes. So I'm like, put picture here. I'm going to add another layout. I'm just going to delete it this time. I'm going to do a text box. Number 2, why is water wet? Okay, and then I'm going to come up and I'm going to get my placeholder, and they're going to put it in that box. I'm going to come up to the toolbar and I'm going to click the plus icon again. I'm going to go here to rename. I should have done that on the other ones. I'm going to rename this one teacher feedback. I'm going to rename this one teacher feedback. And I'm going to change the background color. I'm going to change the background color to light purple. I'm just going to resize this so I have the text box is locked just by using text box. So placeholders are not locked, text box is on the layout. I'm going to go back to this first layout. I'm going to rename it Q1. I'm going to go to this next one and I'm going to rename it Q2. I'll show you what I mean by locked. Okay, so now I exit the ViewMaster. And now when I click on the tiny triangle in the plus icon, you see I only have 3 layouts and they're customized. So I'm going to add question 1 and then I'm going to add question 2. Now, why did I do it that way? Because these text boxes are locked down and they can't mess with it. Oh, and some kid thinks they're funny, like, I deleted it. Yeah, that's real cute. Here, there you go, dude. So when I make the questions in the layouts, it's a lot easier to recoup from some mistakes. So the kids will come in here, they're going to put their answers in the placeholders. Now, I, of course, can insert my comments like usual. Which is fine. I do that. But sometimes you just want more room. You're like, dude, you need a lot of help. So I come up to the tiny triangle and I go to the teacher feedback. And I add a Bitmoji. I try to. I don't always. I mean, a lot of times I just don't have time. But I can. But again, it's multimedia. So when I'm going to give the student feedback, let me show you. Stop presenting. I'm going to present my entire screen. So I'm looking at the student's work, right? They said it's wet. I'm going to turn on Screencastify. I'm going to do that. I'm going to do desktop. And I'm going to do the quiz. Caleb, you told me that water is wet. That is not the whole water cycle. Caleb, I want the whole cycle and you gotta like draw the pictures. So I need the whole thing. So I've screen shared the Google Slides. It's not screen shared, I screencast. I recorded the Google Slides and I recorded my verbal feedback. It saves to Google Drive. So then I go insert video, Google Drive. Wait. I think I stopped sharing the wrong one. I think I stopped sharing the Google Meet, not the, let me do it again. Sorry. I do that. What, this one? All right, so you guys saw me, I recorded, I did screen recording. I'm looking at their work. I turn on Screencastify. I mean, why would you not turn on Screencastify if you're looking at student work? Isn't it easier for you to just talk out loud? And here's my rule. When I'm doing screencasting, when I'm making a video for a student, I say their name a bunch of times. I personalize it. It does matter. When you hear your name, you lean in. So before I say something important, I say their name so they lean in to hear what I have to say. That's fact. So then I've made my video in Screencastify, I hope. And so insert video, click on recent. Oh wait, insert video from Google Drive. I click on recent. There's the video I just made, but we'll use this one because it's ready. And so now on their quiz, I can give them a whole slide of feedback, as much room as I want. I can put my Bitmoji on it and I can insert a video. And then what do I want them to do? Here's my rule. I don't give feedback for my health. You guys, I do not give feedback for my health. I give feedback so they'll learn from it. So I have a rule is if I give you feedback, you have to respond to it. I do not release their score until they respond to my feedback. Otherwise, we all know what happens when you leave feedback. They don't even read it. You wasted your time if they don't read it. And even if they read it, research shows if you put a score next to your feedback that they hyper-focus on the score and they all but ignore your feedback. So then I'm still wasting my time. So I'm like, forget that. Forget that. I'm gonna have you do the free response to your quiz in a Google Slides. Yes, and I do make a copy for each student, obviously, because I'm yelling at Caleb in my video. And then I put the feedback. I have a whole feedback slide of what I want them to do. And by the way, I have another Google Slides with feedback that I copy and paste into the slides. So I have some tutorials and things already made that with purple backgrounds that I copy and paste in there. I do side-by-side windows. I got my slides of feedback and then I have student work and I just copy and paste them in. Yeah. Okay, well now that I've given Caleb some feedback, I'm going to go back up here to the layouts and I'm going to be like, do it again. Come on. And go away. All right, I'll come help you in a minute, buddy. Why is this? I've broken. I'm going to insert comment. Right? Because I made the questions in the layouts, I can just put it in there. I'm like, I need you to redo this. Start again. I can do that. I'm not screen sharing. Dang it. Try it again. How did I stop screen sharing? I probably pushed escape somewhere. All right, let me do it again. Okay. All right, so here's Caleb's work. I add a whole new slide for feedback. And then I'm like, I need you to redo this. So I go up to the layouts and I insert the question again. How do I know when all students have completed their slide? Well, if you're using Google Classroom, they turn it in. They turn in the assignment. But what I want them to do is when Caleb, my updated answer, when Caleb updates his answer, this link at the top opens to that slide, remember? So what I require that they do is they copy the link to their slide, and then in Google Classroom, this is teacher view, so just bear with me. It won't be exact. It won't be like this at all. But they would paste the link to their slide in the private comments. Like, these are my revisions. So here's what I do. I've got whoever's slides. Where was I? This is the slide I gave feedback on, right? So I'm going to copy that link at the top. I'm going to copy the link to slide 2. I'm on slide 2, my purple slide. And then in Google Classroom, say these are Diane's. I say, Diane, I left you feedback. And I paste the link to the feedback slide. And then when Diane fixes her answer, I ask them, no joke, I do. They have to, please read my updated answer to release my score. It doesn't, I'm obviously not in student view, but it looks something like this. And they can just give me the slide back that they need me to grade. Like, I fixed it. Helen, I prevent students from not checking the web by not asking them questions that they can answer from the web. You know, I'm a math teacher. Photo math exists. It not only is it not going to go away, it is only going to get better. So I just don't ask students to do math problems that they can photo math. It's 2020. It means I have to ask different questions. That's just a fact of life. And now that the students are remote at home, you can spend all day long trying to play whack-a-mole to keep kids from cheating. That is a waste of your time. They're smarter than you, just so you know. They will, you know, every one of them knows how to get around the firewall at school, am I right? You can try and lock them out, but they're going to figure out a way around it. So what I try to do is there's no foolproof answer. I try real hard to build relationships. I give them meaningful feedback where they feel like they are going to learn from it. I do not take off points. I do not take off points, because if you're going to play the game of gathering points, then you've given them an incentive to cheat. So I switch all my assignments to credit, no credit, including my tests. I just moved to that, and I said, look, I'm here to assess that you've learned it, not that you failed it. I don't give low scores. That's not allowed. There's no research, none. There is no research that supports giving a kid a low score is motivating. In fact, the opposite, it causes them to quit and give up. So after reading all this research, this is where I'm at in my career, 21 years later. You should slowly get to wherever it is that you're going to. And I make them redo it. They have to redo it till it's at least good enough. And I believe in my soul that kids would rather learn than eat, so long as the point is learning. If we make the point gathering points, they're going to play that game. Which game do you want them to play? So I take that game away from them, and then I promise this will happen. Putting this in the chat.
Alice, can I?
AliceKeeler.com/ssresist. I'm going to add that into my slides over here. AliceKeeler.com/ssresist. I'm going to screen share that. So what this research article says is, when you switch to a student-centered model, when you ask the students to do the thinking, when you take away the game of school that they know and love, they go through the 8 stages of grief like someone died. So I expect at first, when I switch to this credit, no credit, they're pretty mad about it. They're like, why can't I just get a D? I'm like, I'm not here to give out points. That's not why I come to school. I come to school to give out learning. Since you haven't demonstrated the learning yet, we're going to keep doing this. And they're mad and they're complaining, and you're going to meeting with the parents, I promise. But what that research article says is they come around. And from my personal experience, they come around. And once they figure out that you're going to help them to get full credit, they're less incentivized to cheat because they really do want to learn it. They just don't want to be penalized. So that's my tip. Someone asked me, so that's what I do. Okay. And Sharon, yeah, of course, I ask my students, my math students, to take pictures and submit them for sure. We are 5 minutes over, so let me try and get through the rest of your slides here real quick. But I think I got some good ones in there. How would you use slides to keep track of learner profiles and other student information? Have students write their essays on slides. Totally. You can totally have students. I wasn't going to do any more examples, and then yet look at me. You should 100% have your students do their essays on slides because I can drag Bitmoji on there and it's multimedia. So when they do their essay on a slide, I can still add a slide for feedback. Yes. You watch this. File, page, setup. Customize it to 8.5 by 11. There you go. Write your essay. Enjoy. But now I can add a feedback slide. And I change the background to purple. On their work, I can drag my Bitmoji and give them Bitmoji feedback. I can leave them video feedback. 100%. Why not have them do their essays on slides? All right, we already went over these. I think I'm way down here. Jennifer, I know that you know that I already got you on this one. You should do your conferences with parents on slides. Yes. Exactly. Okay. I don't want students to do math calculations, but of course they can do math calculations. Allow me to add a slide here. I got my Equatio Chrome extension. I'm going to voice type this. The quadratic formula. Insert. I'm going to clear this. Equatio. Come on. Voice type. Trash can. The square root of 1/2 over x. They can handwrite it. I just have to tell you, the learning is 0% better because it's math typed instead of just taking a picture. It's 0% better. Looks nicer. Schoology, you can use Google Slides with Schoology for sure. You can use it for writing. I have them do it on paper and take a picture. Exactly. You can use it for everything. I've gone over most of these, so I'm going to be done. I'm going to stop sharing. All right. I'm going to take out the headphones, so then it's going to sound terrible. But I'm going to see if anyone has any questions. And Pear Deck is 100%. Mimi, you don't need to know what Schoology is if you're not using it. Okay. You would know. Trust me. All right. Equatio is free for teachers.
Hello.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, I have a
Hey,
question.
Jen.
I'm still confused on the yellow slide. So, did everybody make their own yellow slide when they were doing the work, or how did it come to become yellow?
Yes, they do. They make their own, and whatever you do, do it often. And Google Slides, not Google Slides, whatever it is you do, you have certain things you do. Like I do Google Slides together, collaborative Google Slides. I use quizzes a lot, and I use spreadsheets a lot. And those are my 3. You know, like I keep repeating the style of activity. Make sure that they don't get hung up on the tool, you know? So what I usually create a blank Google Slides. I just leave them totally blank, and I ask them to add a slide and put their name in the speaker notes, and we just do stuff together. We just do, you can do anything on slides. And then sometimes I get fancy and I make it with the yellow slides, but you don't have to.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. For those of you who are asking if you're going to have access to the presentation, these webinars and the recordings are for the premium membership. Let me go back to the screen sharing. I accidentally sent the email out to all of my newsletter subscribers, which is fine. I'm glad you're all here. Honestly, I'd rather do all of these for free anyway, but this is literally my job, is doing this. So if you go to alicekeeler.com/membership, I have a I have a 14-day free trial. So if you want to try it out for 14 days, and you can join my workshops, you can join my webinars, you can join my office hours, and I have custom things that I've coded that are exclusive for premium members. So yeah, so alicekeeler.com/membership. I will be putting the recording in there. So if you're not a member, I'm really glad that you joined, and I hope you got your questions answered. And I have almost all of this information for free somewhere on my blog. So if you go to alicekeeler.com, I have tons of tips for using Google Slides for free. Oh yes, and I do office hours every week where you can just jump in and ask me anything.
Alice, can you tell me about, you mentioned something called Equatio. Is that something that you actually like, you stake the equation, you want to write it? I thought that was so cool. I've never seen that before.
I could do a whole 6-week workshop just on Equatio. It is very cool. So what you want, I did a Google search for Equatio free for teachers.
What is it? You did one? Oh, where are you?
Equatio free for teachers. There's the link.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Yeah. So you can sign up there and get it for free. And it's an add-on that allows you, it's a Chrome extension. It's a Chrome extension that allows you to add math symbols with voice or handwriting, or you can even do LaTeX if you're so inclined, to Google Docs, Google Sheets, Google Slides, Google Forms. Now the student version, if your school, I really think your school should have a read and write. Whose school has read and write? Text help read and write. It is really one of the most valuable tools for students who struggle with reading for any reason, dyslexia, whatever. And so if your school has a license for read and write, Equatio is the same company, and it's just a little extra fee. Whereas if you only do Equatio for the students, it's a larger fee, whatever. They give discounts for bulk purchases, but I like it. It's good. I use it, and they have a whole bunch of other things. Equatio will blow your mind. Do I have any slides on how to be a para? Linda, I am a math teacher, so I don't usually, well, I don't know what all, yes, all schools and districts use their paras differently, so that's not something I have a super lot of knowledge on. So unfortunately, I do not have any slides on how to be a para. All right, thanks you guys. Thanks for coming. And I think that email that I sent out had a bunch more of my webinars in there, and you're definitely welcome to come join. And I got a bunch more coming up this week. I'm using how to make Google sites. I'm doing how to do rubrics. I don't know, how to get started with Google Classroom to set up your class. So thanks for joining. Hey, buddy, how are you feeling?
Love that blue hair. You're rocking it.
Good. All right. All right. Thanks, you guys.
Thank you, Alice.
Thanks. I'm going to stop recording.